You've moved through denial, anger, and bargaining, the first three phases of job loss grief. You've replayed every meeting, every decision, every what if. And now the fight is simply drained out of you. What's left is the quiet, heavy weight of depression, the stage of job loss grief that feels the most isolating and the most personal. It's the silence of the morning with nowhere to be, the email box that doesn't require any attention, the hollow space where your sense of purpose used to sit. If you feel lost, numb, or exhausted, you're not alone. I've been in that same place, staring at a ceiling that felt like it was just, pressing down on me. Depression after job loss is real and it's common. Today, we're going to walk through this stage with clarity and compassion. We'll name what you're feeling, understand why it happens, and then we'll move into four concrete steps that help you begin rebuilding, not by avoiding the grief, but by moving through it. Let's start with the anatomy of depression after job loss. Losing a job is one of the most stressful life events a person can experience. It's not just the loss of the income, it's the loss of routine and identity and community and belonging. Depression is the stage where the adrenaline fades and the reality settles in. It's not weakness, it's just your mind and your body processing a major disruption to what you knew. Think of this stage in three parts. There's an emotional weight, a physical toll, and a cognitive fog. Let's look at the emotional weight first. This isn't just sadness, it's emptiness and hopelessness and the sense that nothing you do matters. Maybe you even feel like you don't matter. The inner critic gets louder, insisting the layoff was your fault or blaming you for falling behind. And then comes the identity crisis. For many of us, work becomes the shorthand for who we are. Without that title, you can feel unanchored. One job seeker described it perfectly. I belong to nothing. That loss of belonging, it cuts deep. There's the physical toll. Depression shows up in your body. Sleep becomes unpredictable, too much or too little. Appetite swings, stress hormones, headaches, muscle tension, digestive issues, and a level of fatigue like walking through wet cement. Your body is grieving right alongside your mind. Personally, I ended up sleeping too much, eating too much, and not exercising enough. Finally, there's the cognitive fog. Concentration slips. Tasks that used to be simple and straightforward, like reading an article or writing an email, suddenly they feel overwhelming. Focus and concentration, they just evaporate. Motivation collapses. Even updating a resume feels impossible. And because of shame or exhaustion, many people just withdraw socially, which only deepens that depression. You're not imagining any of this. You're certainly not failing. You're grieving. Now that we've named what this stage looks and feels like, the question becomes, how do you move through it? Not quickly, not perfectly, but steadily. Healing begins with small, intentional actions. And here are four steps that help you to start rebuilding. First, you need to rebuild your routine. Job loss wipes out structure, and without structure, depression grows. Rebuilding a simple daily routine is one of the most effective ways to regain stability. Start with consistent wake and sleep times. Add manageable physical activity, a 30-minute walk once or twice a week. Movement is medicine. It improves your mood, your energy, and even your sleep. Pair that with some basic nutrition habits to support your body through the stress. I didn't do this well, and I paid for it. My mood just kept dropping, giving me even more excuses not to exercise or eat properly. These small actions restore predictability and control. They're quiet reminders that you're still moving forward. Next, fight the urge to isolate. Depression, it convinces you to hide, maybe out of shame or a similar response. But connection is essential for healing. Schedule connection the way you used to schedule meetings. Reach out to a person a day, a friend, a former colleague, a family member. You don't need a deep conversation. You just need simple contact, an outside perspective. Support groups can be especially powerful. Hearing me too from others, it reduces shame and reminds you that you're not alone in this experience. Lots of other people are navigating it as well. I know this sounds strange, but consider volunteering. Helping others rebuilds your sense of purpose and it reconnects you with your strengths. When I was jobless during the peak of the COVID pandemic, I volunteered 2 days a week at a food pantry, distributing food to the needy. And importantly, remember that you're not a burden, even if depression tries to convince you that you are. People want to help you. Let them. In the third step, start redefining who you are. This is the deeper work. Depression, it sharpens the identity crisis. It clouds your self-perception, but it also opens the door to redefining yourself on your own terms. Think of it like a blank sheet of paper waiting for your first word. Start by clarifying your values. Write down the 5 things that matter most to you outside of work. These are the foundation of who you are. These can be anything from family to faith to the environment to honesty or any other concept. Then create a personal skills inventory, not for your resume, but for yourself. List 10 things you're good at, big or small, preferably not linked to your work again. Maybe it's writing, maybe playing an instrument, helping people network, organizing parties, anything. This helps counter the belief that your worth was tied only to your job. You're good at lots of things. For me, it's understanding different cultures and learning new languages. I've lived in multiple countries and developed this personal skill set. Finally, explore new interests or revisit old ones. Take a beginner's class, borrow a book, try something that sparks your curiosity. It's not about career invention, it's about reconnecting with parts of yourself that have been lying dormant. During the course of my career, I largely gave up my hobbies. I was too busy. But after leaving the corporate world, I rekindled my love of the outdoors through hiking and kayaking. What you're doing is rebuilding an identity that no layoff can take away from you. Lastly, the fourth step is to seek professional guidance if you're struggling to move forward. Reaching out for professional support is one of the strongest decisions you can make. A therapist helps you distinguish between grief and clinical depression and gives you tools to challenge the negative thoughts that have taken over. Cognitive restructuring helps you separate what happened to you from who you are. Therapy also gives you a safe space to explore identity, to rediscover your values and your strengths beyond any job title. And if your hopelessness feels so overwhelming or you're struggling to get through the day, immediate professional help is essential. You don't have to carry this alone, and you can unload on a person that you can trust. Look, this one is hard. I've personally never believed in therapy or speaking with therapists. That doesn't mean that they don't work, but if you fall into the same camp as me, you can also find some excellent therapists on YouTube or on other podcast platforms. It may not be as personalized, but you can still benefit from their insights. But still, sitting with someone is probably more effective. And if you're so deep in the dark that you're thinking of hurting yourself, I've put the number of the U.S. Suicide Prevention Hotline in the show notes. Please take care of yourself. Let's wrap it up. Depression after job loss feels like walking through a fog, slow, heavy, and disorienting. But there is a path forward, even if it's not visible in this moment. It's built on four pillars: rebuilding your routine, reconnecting with others, redefining your identity, and professional support, if warranted. There's no timeline for this stage. Some days will feel lighter, others will feel heavier. That's normal. Healing is not linear, but if you stick to these four strategies, you'll chart a course towards regaining yourself. And beyond this stage of the job loss grief cycle, there lies acceptance. It's not an approval of what happened, but a final peace with it. Acceptance is where you stop fighting the past and you start shaping the future. It's where hope begins to return. This chapter is not the end of your story. It's literally just a chapter, not the book. It's the difficult, transformative, painful stretch before your next chapter can begin. You have the strength to turn this page. And if you lean on family, friends, and even professional support, you can only magnify that strength. Remember, youth runs fast, but age knows the terrain. And keep that terrain map in mind as you navigate the darkness of depression. See you next time.